All right. Earlier this year, we did an episode called Eads Bridge. Actually, this could be my book, but it's Dream, Forge, Finish.
Goes into three main points: dream, forge, finish.
It was three fundamental principles: dream, forge, and finish. Always 3 points, right? But it was dream, forge, and finish. So the idea is have a vision, right? Where do you want to go? So this is the bridge right here in St. Louis, connecting east to west, connecting east and west, manifest destiny, right? The vision America had was sea to shining sea, right? Atlantic to Pacific, all this stuff. The Mississippi was awesome to help with traffic, except it stopped traffic going east to west.
We wanted to be able to do this, but in this case, we had the Mississippi River, which was like, it's over a mile long here, deep. A lot of steamboats came across because it had to be so tall for the steamships.
Right.
It had to be, sandy bottom in the river.
The building material there was wood, stone, and iron,
And those weren't strong enough to be able to cross the river, right?
those materials could not do it, right? So what actually was able to solve it was turning iron to steel, right? Which is the forging process. What does it take to take steel? Well, you need extreme heat. You need the pressure.
It was the vision of some of the early politicians, James K. Polk, Manifest Destiny, all these things. But it was actually the capitalism, it was the railroads that actually said, okay, now it's time to do it. Entrepreneurs, right? These people who want something bigger.
You throw on additives or good, healthy habits, and you need to pull away the impurities, the bad things. You need to take out impurities, right? In entrepreneur terms, it's you got to build healthy habits, put in education, put in the right coaches and mentors, right? That's also taking out the bad habits. Like you can't do this, you can't do this, you need to do this.
Yeah.
Then you had something that was strong enough to do something different.
And then finish. You gotta finish, because a half-finished bridge doesn't get you over the river. A lot of people will start something and then it gets hard or it gets challenging, so what do? They stop or they'll start a new thing.
The guy who was in charge of that was Andrew Carnegie.
I didn't realize Andrew Carnegie was involved.
Yeah, he was like the
with
superintendent. I think
He
the
was,
company he was
really?
working for was like Keystone.
Took his knowledge there, went to the railroads. When that was done, he took it and built an empire, right? He built all the skyscrapers in every city, right? Just that story is just fascinating, right? This is my ebb and flow and all my stuff. But that said, like, what would be the Darren forging moment? What is a Dawn forging moment? What really was that crucible that made you into Dave F. and Dodge now? Hello, friends. Welcome to the second ever How Day episode. So we are already wrapping up our season 2 of the Kevin Dairaghi Show. Jake and I just sat down last week and we were laying out all the wonderful people that we had on our show. And it started off, we're like, oh, you remember the one we did? And then before you know it, we listed our whole repertoire of the guests we had on here. And it was just so amazing. It's so incredible that we get to sit down and talk to such studs in the field. And if you guys have listened to it, it hasn't always been rainbows and butterflies and beachfront vacation homes, right? There is real struggle, right? The times where you're sitting in your car weeping, going, what is going on? God help me, right? Those moments that a lot of these guys have gone through, those struggles. And then also what they did next. And I think that's the key part for a lot of us entrepreneurs or leaders or people out there doing it. It's okay to have the down points, but what are you going to do next? Are you going to get up? Are you going to keep fighting? Or are you going to lay over and go get a desk job? So we use the analogy of Eads Bridge, dream, forge, finish. These were the key points that we talked about all year, but these forging moments were really the crux of what we wanted, right? We wanted to know, like our 3 pillars here. The most important real estate is between your ears, your personal drives, your professional, and it's all about relationships, like those forging moments, right? That changes iron into steel, that makes these things actually happen and solidify. So, guys, let's open this up and take a look at some of these incredible guests and their forging moments.
I would have blown off work and gone to a movie, but I didn't have enough money to pay for a ticket. Right? So I sat in the parking lot and I cried. Because, dude, I felt like I was pardon the French, but I felt like I was fucked.
And I remember it was a very specific moment. I was sitting on the porch. My wife was sitting next to me, and she goes, "Fix your shit. Whatever you got to do, fix it. You don't get to do this to us."
All this together and emotional state of my kids hit very hard. So that was the darkest moment, and frankly, we touched briefly before, very important. But that was the moment I did think that I probably would be better off not here, and not because of money. I felt like a failure as a mother.
I was face down on my carpet in a pool of snot and tears. And I remember it was 4 o'clock in the afternoon because I lived near a church, and I remember hearing the 4 bells chiming, right? And the evening sun was just cresting my face. One side of my face was warm, the other side of my face was all smashed into my carpet because I was having what I can only refer to as an emotional breakdown.
So I lost it all. I was broke, busted, and disgusted mentally, emotionally, psychologically, and financially.
On April 1st, since I felt so lost, and I felt I wasn't, and this is the second time I've said this, I wasn't, but I felt broken. And when I felt broken, I didn't feel like I had any other options. So I put a gun in my mouth and I almost pulled the trigger, but I didn't have the courage to. And in that moment, the flash was my kids and my wife having to clean up and, carry on without me. And I was just leaving them a freaking mess. And I didn't have the courage to do that, and I wouldn't do that. So when I pulled the gun out of my mouth, I knew every single thing in my life had to change.
Did legit go broke. My father had a heart attack and got quadruple bypass surgery. And so all this happened, that was 2008. I had a tenant who I lovingly referred to her as Beelzebub's sister. If you're biblical, you know that that's not a good angel. And she was destroying this house.
I'm like, I'm dead. My parents are going to find out about it. I should maybe just jump off a bridge or something.
Oh
right?
my gosh.
Because, I didn't know, right? It's still at the time, I'm in quote unquote US for a couple of years. I don't really have my bearings straight.
Probably the lowest point of my life. Definitely the most difficult thing I've ever been through. And then I'm trying to you go through brain fog and you're on oxycodone, right? That's a painkiller. So you're on some oxycodone. They prescribe that to you. It's optional if you want to take it, but you're in a lot of pain. So you're taking some of that, and you can't run a business. You can't make good decisions. You can't underwrite homes.
And I get a call one day from the vice president of the bank who I saw routinely. And he was like, "Hey man, got some news." And I was like, "What's that?" And he goes, "We're out of the investor business." And I said, "Wait, when?" And he goes, "Right now." Literally, it was like, yeah, we're not gonna do one more loan together, right? It's over. And so, but that was happening. It's with small local banks all over the country.
And so the times, especially in the early times, if we ever had an agent leave our company, or at one point we had a team, kind of a group of them leave our company all at the same time, that was so incredibly hard on me. I really got beat up by that.
And I'm looking at the math here, and I'm like, man, I'm going to be 100 years old before I can get to where he's at. So what am I doing wrong? What is he doing differently? What are these other investors doing that I am not?
Couldn't see, I guess I hit 30 at that point. So I couldn't see doing this for the next 30 years of my life. And I was like, I'm paying for kids in the daycare all the time. Somebody's telling me when I can take off, and I cannot travel, I cannot have independence. So I guess I always tell people, you hit a point in your life where there is no option B, where it becomes so painful to stay where you are right now that you have to do something.
Touched on just a little bit of the PTSD and suicide, PTSD and TBI. But with the PTSD, a lot of times, especially for combat vets, comes suicidality. So I've attempted suicide 4 times. The last time was 2016.
When our daughter was in 7th grade, she had a mental health crisis, and she was out of school for an entire year. And I shared with you previously that I loved my business. I loved running business. I loved my career, maybe a little too much at times. And when our daughter had this mental health crisis, I was the person who completely withdrew from everything to care for her. And it happened overnight.
Then finally COVID happened. I had 250 houses in inventory. And I was like, oh shit, this is what he was talking about. This is what business is like. From 2021 till today, like, I feel like this is how, it's been more bad days than good days for sure.
Had COVID not been there, had the personal thing not been, maybe I would have been able to figure out, not had as many whatever, but ultimately, had I simply said, hey, we got a problem, and I don't know how to fix it.
And then on top of that, the thing that pissed me off the most, that really probably pissed me off the most, was the only credit card I used to run the business was this Chase credit card. It had a $30,000 limit, and I would pay $1,500 so I could keep my lead flow going. And then I would, in the mail 2 days later, get a letter back saying, we've reduced your available credit by $1,500, whatever the amount was. The exact amount that I paid in, they would reduce my amount to use the credit card. I was like, are y'all trying to kill me? Like, I can't. Like, come on. It was just everything was against me. Like everything I tried to do wasn't working, and there really wasn't much you could do.
When those planes decided to hit those buildings, not only did those buildings fall, my whole life fell. And that means my credit score, that means my income, that means my livelihood, because obviously if I don't have any income, that means I can't pay mortgage, that means my house is going to go to foreclosure, that means I'm going to lose my home.
When I say market values have going up, and then they plateaued for like the second half of 2006 and 2007, and they started going down. So during that plateau, Jim and I had some financial troubles because it was so easy to buy a house. We always use the Burr method, buy a house, fix it up, rent it, refinance it, get all your money back and do it again. So we built a portfolio doing that, but all of a sudden values stopped going up. It got harder to do that. Interest rates went up during that time too, and it got harder to cash flow houses.
Yeah, and she's like, oh, you should read this book. And I remember thinking to myself, and I said this to her, oh, honey, I don't need to read that book. I already know it. Because at least I thought I did because of being a bank manager and a financial planner. And then she said to me, well, if you know it all, how come we're broke? And you can't, I couldn't argue with that because she was absolutely right.
It also ended in when a downturn happened in the market, me feeling like I had chains around my neck, and it caused me to get shingles because of my stress load.
I put on a decent amount of weight during that time, and relationships were okay, but that was also a very stressful time because my mom got sick and then passed. So my health definitely, took a beating.
I had a lot of repairs on these long-term rentals, and every year I was like, okay, I took care of that, so next year it should be better. But next year wasn't better.
In 2008, everything crashed. And that's the first seriously bad thing that happened in my life. And I a lot of times say it was the worst thing and the best thing because everybody went bankrupt from that. I went bankrupt, lost everything. That was in 2008. When the dust finally settled, I was smoked.
And I did everything completely wrong and backwards, and there was a way to mess it up. I'm not sure that I could figure out another way that I could have messed it up worse.
And, that imposter syndrome kicked in, like relentless. It was like something that continued to happen day and day and day. And so you start to carry that weight of like, did I do something wrong? Like, is this not how it's supposed to be?
It was a terrible buy. I should have never, purchased it. And it sat forever. And dude, so on that property, lost like $100,000. Lost like $100,000. And that, by the way, that was not money that I just like, I had, $500,000 sitting in checking account. And so it's like, whatever, I lost 100, I still have 400 left. No, in order to complete those jobs, I had to get credit cards.
The apartment building made giant sucking sounds. And in the bankruptcy, it got sold with a short sale. The bank, we actually called the bank and said, here's the keys. And they said, no, we won't take it. Just keep the heat on.
Because entrepreneurship really is about that. Overcoming fear at its essence, right? It's like, because at some point you have to trade security for a financial freedom that you might not otherwise reach, right?
like failure's not an option. I mean, it was not an option. It just flat out wasn't an option, right? You got to find a person that believes in you. Like right now, if you don't have somebody that believes in you, freaking go find one, right? Call me up. I'll tell you I believe in you. Got to have somebody that believes in you, right? And
procrastination is so based in fear. And it's fear of change. It could be fear of failing. It could be a fear of success.
I think what you constantly need to do is you need to, I don't think reinvent yourself, but get yourself some other skills that, you know, you can use above and beyond what your job is, above and beyond what your current career is.
And so as I did that, working on myself, because I can't work on you, I can only work on me, I would learn a technique on myself. Well, I keep that in the tool belt, but all the tools started out as, you know, figuring out how to take this person that's I considered broken, that's what I thought of myself as, that, and make it so that I was able to function.
Go slow. There's too many people out there who are going to yell at you about go big, go fast, grow, scale. Stop the nonsense, everybody. Go make some real fucking money, right? It does no good to go be an entrepreneur to make $100,000 a year. No one signs up for that, because what we deal with as entrepreneurs is way heavier than going and getting a job for $100,000 a year. But going slow is underestimated because it's not sexy. It doesn't look sexy. You can't brag as much. You can't be on Instagram pounding your chest about look at me, look at me.
I had to go and make an all-in bet on myself. I had the framework, I had the playbook, and I knew I had all of the pieces in place. The rest had everything to do with my commitment and my input. And I know that, like, if you show me the play and you give me like proven results, I will run the damn play to death.
For me, I guess one of those pivoting moments was listening to another guy talk to another guy and asking that question, how can you do none of this stuff? And so it started forcing me back in my engineering brain of like, okay, developing systems and tools and process.
Combining what you're passionate about, what you're gifted at, and what can be a profitable venture. And you find you've got 3 concentric circles and you find where they overlap.
But I stayed in the struggle long enough that it became easier. And that's the way it works. Most people give up at the 80% mark. Right? They stay in it, they go, oh, I just can't take it anymore. And they give up right before they achieve success.
One of the equations to success is getting out there, knowing that, I don't have a scarcity mindset. I'm not afraid to share. I don't like huddle in, these are my secrets. And you find that people that are successful in the business have that same mentality. So you end up in the same room.
Talk to as many people as you can about that. Don't fight your fight alone at home. In the dark, call somebody, call a friend, ask them who to call me, call Kevin, whatever, like call people, talk to them about it.
I think it all really does boil down to the confidence and mindset as a whole, and then your confidence, especially as a woman.
What you do the 40 hours a week that pays for your home and your car and your meals and your whatever, that gives you a life. Every hour over 40 is your wealth. That's your creation. That's your future.
You got to trust the process. Like, this works. You're working with people that have successfully done this. They're doing the exact same thing you're doing. They're sending out mailers, postcards, whatever it is. Maybe they're doing some cold calling, maybe some driving for dollars, but it's a numbers game. You just keep at it.
If your why doesn't make you cry, it's not strong enough. And because that why is going to keep you in the game. That why is going to keep you doing what you need to do when you got a negative in that bank account. Okay, it's gonna keep you doing the thing that you believe you are passionate about doing, because we want you to monetize that passion.
And look, you're going to make mistakes along the way, and even if you've got a mentor, you're still going to make some mistakes. But as you know, that's just all part of the learning process, isn't it?
There has to be a switch that clicks on in your life. I mean, no one can do it for you. I can have the passion, but you have to want to change. Some of you have to be sick and tired of being sick and tired. There's an old phrase that we hear a lot, but what you tolerate what you allow in your life, it's what dominates and it what takes over.
Like, what do you want to focus on? Because you do not want to split yourself in too many different directions. When you're starting out, pick one thing. Pick one thing, stick with that, and like grow in that until you are successful, and then move into the next thing. You know, baby steps.
You have to start, even if that means that, you know, you fail a couple times and then you succeed. You have to start, because if you don't start, then you can't fail or succeed. And then you're not really, you're still exactly where you are.
People say, you know, work on your weaknesses. That is total BS. Total BS. You work in your strengths. If you want the most success, you work in your strength.
Truly, like, if you enjoy it, persevere. Consider every setbacks, even if it's $100,000. I know people who lost millions, but as long as you know it's your thing, just learn the lessons, don't repeat same mistake that led to this failure, and continue doing right things. And eventually, you'll start making more money than you lost.
Look at different forms of education. And when I say different forms of education, I mean conferences, seminars, all those different kind of things where you can actually learn the subject you want to learn.
I'm talking about the collection of trauma and pain that I was carrying around in my body. Those are what I had to deal with that I hadn't dealt with up to that point.
Everything I've gone through has made my faith stronger, and I just know that whatever happens, it's all for my good. The bad things that are happening, there's something good that's going to come out of it.
You start with the training wheels on, and eventually you got to take them off, and you're going to fall, you're going to get hurt, you're going to scrape yourself. But that's how we learn, is we do things, and then, okay, that didn't work, so I don't do that. And I don't remember who said it, but you're not going to wait until all the lights are green to start traveling.
Hey, you can do, you know, the easy thing and have, you know, struggle in other areas, like have a harder life in that way, or you can tackle hard things and, you know, maybe that's going to open up freedoms in, you know, in other areas of your life, right? Like have an easier time in other areas. And so I've always said, like, hey, I'm going to go for those hard things.
I think that a lot of people race to get out of their jobs when they find real estate because they want freedom. But I don't think I ever had freedom when I was a real estate investor. I mean, I probably should have had less, you know, I probably should have buckled down harder and really figured out the business better and became a much better operator at the business. And then freedom comes, right?
Pay more attention to what's going on holistically in life. Whether it's, you don't just have one deal that's not going well. If you've got one deal that's not going well, there's something else that is either causing or triggering that, or going to be triggered because of that.
It took me till 2010 or 11 to climb out of that hole. But I would not have traded having gone through that for anything.
The only reason your business fails, or only reason you fail, is because you stop or you quit. And so that would just keep running through my mind every single day. It's like, cool, it's just pivot. It's not shutting it down, it's just pivot. It's not shutting it down, it's pivot.
With me, what did I do? I took a step back. And that's why I say sometimes you have to step away from it. Step away from it and look at your life and say, what the heck am I doing here? Why am I doing it? I did that in 95. I did that in 2007. And the best thing you can do in those moments is take your foot off the pedal, you know, and just take a step back. And
yeah, it's really about changing your standards. You know, habits are created, and they're hard to create. You can stop doing bad habits. You can start doing good habits. But it can be difficult to do both of those, right? But if you change your standards, it has nothing to do with habits. And if you can live by your standards, you don't really even necessarily need good habits.
But you know, through all that, God was faithful, and He spared my life, which I'm grateful for, because I have a wife of 18 years and 4 kids, and I'm only 40 years old.
When you have diagnosis like PTSD and TBI, you have professionals that are telling you that based on your diagnosis, you can't do anything. But it's finding a way to turn that disability into a defining moment or into an asset.
The biggest lesson is, like, if you've had success with one thing, stop chasing the shiny object.
I shifted and I pivoted away from just make it happen. It doesn't matter how, we can do it. Like, it's okay if you're bleeding, you know, put a Band-Aid on it and let's keep going type thing, right? And I pivoted away from that time to, hey, how are you? No, how are you really doing? Being able to like feel what people were feeling and be able to care about that and figure out how to solve problems to put them in the best position without violating everything else in their world, right?
You know, there was a lot that happened that year. It's one of those things, Kevin, where you I don't know if you've had a year, where you look back and you're like, I'm thankful because of the grit that built within me, because I had to go through it, but I never want to go through it again. So that left some scars, no doubt, but I'm grateful for those scars.
If you want to be a successful entrepreneur, number one, if you don't have resources, meaning money, get a job. Get a job that is stable. I don't care even if you drive Uber 10 hours a day. Makes no difference. But have some stability in your life, because that helps you build. Use that stability to build and look into the next things, and don't swing for the fences.
I'll tell you, going through and listening to some of these forging moments and just reminding myself actually that these were people that said yes to opening up their lives to us. I can't thank our guest enough for doing that. If you guys didn't know, we also started a YouTube channel this year. So if you haven't, go in there, like, subscribe, comment. Let some of our guests know some of the stuff that, I've been fortunate you guys are telling me directly some of the stuff, but guys, be sure you go onto our socials and let these other guys and these other people know how impactful some of the stories are. I still use a lot of, like when I'm talking to Jake, it's like, oh, do you remember what they said? We got to do this. We got to do this. So it is awesome. I keep coming up with the concept iron sharpening iron, right? It's the idea that once we share this stuff, it really is exciting to see what happens, right? Getting that advice or that direction, especially when you need it. So I want you to know, thank you for being with us this year. I appreciate everything you've done with us, our guests, especially our vendors, and I mean, honestly, they're friends. Thank you for supporting the show and getting all this going. Guys, I really am so thankful with all of this. I want to be your friend in real estate, whether it's talking about it, buying houses, or kind of helping you get into this space. This is what I'm passionate for, right? I want you to get in there and just kind of take action. Just go ahead and start doing it. I love it, guys. I hope you guys have a great holiday season, a Merry Christmas, a Happy New Year, and we will see you in season 3. Thank you.